learning how to partner with people and create win-win situations. And I've been able to use the print-on-demand platform to do that, specifically with print-on-demand fundraising. But we talked about print-on-demand partnerships and print-on-demand fundraising and just got a lot of great feedback on that. I was talking specifically about a deal that I did for schools and kind of spirit wear for those schools and how that opened up a ton of doors for me, actually like 12 of them to be exact. The way that I have viewed the deals that I've structured were kind of with three different things in mind that I personally kind of wanted out of the deals. So the first one was experience. When I first started out, I really wanted just the experience of like, how can this work? Is this really what I envision it to be? Can I just have that work experience that will tell me, you know, exactly what problems I'm going to have and how I can solve those problems so I can move forward more confidently. And so the way that I was able to get that experience was partnering with people that I already kind of had a connection with. I touched on this a little bit last week, but I think if you go into a deal knowing that's what you want out of it is experience, then it makes even more sense to partner with someone that you already have some relationship with, because you know there are probably going to be hiccups along the way. There are going to be those walls that you run into, or you're going to ask them for a certain file type, and you're going to get one back, and then it's not going to be quite right, and you have to just do that like back and forth dance till you quite figure it out. So if you know what you want out of this thing is the experience, so you have that confidence to move forward, then working with someone you have a connection through or an organization that you have worked with previously or whatever just helps out a lot.
If you're going to go into a deal like this and do any kind of partnerships, something that you should be asking yourself is, what do you want out of this deal? And I think most of the time when we're doing deals, especially kind of in the beginning, it's like, oh, all I want is money out of this deal. But sometimes, like you have to build up that experience to know how to communicate to your client, how you should be structuring to things. Where are the pain points? And like you said, passing those files back and forth, there's a lot of nuanced things that you're not going to realize when you first go into it. Getting a few deals under your belt, I think, is the best way to kind of go, okay, now I see my position in the market. I see how I can help these customers. And now I know better how to structure the deal. If I am going to get paid, this is how I should get paid. Should I get paid up front, on the back end, per each individual thing? Should I get on performance based? Should it be on a time based? There's just a lot of deal structuring pieces, but going into it knowing what you want out of the deal is really good. And I think starting the experience piece should be that like driving factor in the beginning. I know you have a few other ones that you want to touch on, but I don't know if it has to be exclusive one or the other, but you should at least think about one over the other and kind of have a driving force when you go, okay, I'm just getting started with this. What do I really need out of this deal? If it's experience, then I'm willing to like bend, make it a break even, or at least like finagle the deal. So at least I'm just getting the experience. I'm willing to take a loss on this, spend a lot of time just to learn the process so that I can add a lot more to this. I see you thinking.
As you were saying that, I was thinking about that first deal that I actually talked about last week with the school. The very first shirt that I ever did for them was for free, and I remember asking them specifically because I was like, I knew I wanted the experience and like proof that I had done this. I was like, I'm fine with doing this as for free as long as I get a group picture with everyone wearing that shirt. Yeah, and like if I could have some feedback from them so I could go show future clients. So definitely not the way you want to do every deal, but I think to do the first one or two or several deals just to kind of get that confidence yourself, but also an actual like image or something you can show off to other clients. I mean, like, you know, I supplied this school with spirit wear and then you don't have anything to show for it. Like I actually had this picture which showed like I had done this before and brought some like truth or I guess proof to what I was doing for other clients to kind of latch onto. And I know that's important kind of wherever you're going to have that proof that like this thing works. So that was my way of doing it. I was like, I'll forego this, but you guys have to make sure there's a picture that I can show off at the end. You know, you have to wrangle the kids all together, make them smile, but that will help me out a ton. And so I, as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, I did do that for the first deal that I ever did. So my deal structuring wasn't as bad as I keep saying it is, but.
Well, I think you thought through the process of like, what is it that I'm ultimately trying to get out of this? If I'm trying to build up my resume and my experience. Going into it, at least knowing that it does help, like what you said, reach out to somebody that you have some past experience with so you can have those open, honest conversations with and say, hey, I don't fully understand what I'm doing, but I'm willing to do this amount of work. I think it's a solution here. Can we work on this together so that I can get the experience and then it solves this problem for you? That it's knowing the deal and just kind of what you want out of it, how you're truly helping them. Because I don't think if you were helping them with anything, it would have fallen apart quickly, but you actually provided a service. You just did that service for free because you wanted to learn all the pieces, the intricacies, so that you could do it a lot more as you traveled.
Yeah, and now thinking back about it again, I think that was from doing graphic design so much. Like I had my own graphic design business before any of this, and so that was something that I used there as well. With graphic design, I was like, I'm fine doing this logo for free. The first couple of times I did logos, but I was like, as long as I can have a picture of where you guys are using this. So if it's going on a flyer, like I want an actual picture of someone holding the flyer just to show like this is my work and this is the way it's being used. So kind of the same idea that I brought to this fundraiser idea. It was like, I'm fine with doing this, but I need some proof or an image or something of how this actually all played out and went down. That's the first one. If you know what you want out of the deal is experience, that's a good way to approach it and just having that mindset. But the second thing that you can get out of a deal if you have some forethought and are thinking about it is just the networking opportunities. And so one way that I have done that is targeted organizations that do events with other organizations. So you can usually pretty easily find this through social media nowadays. They usually like to tag other organizations that they work with, or themselves will be tagged in like larger events that are going on of like how they helped or they provided this service for us or whatever. And so helping one of those organizations, instead of going to like this large event who has all these nonprofits and whatever organizations helping them out, you can just go to one of the smaller organizations that help with that big event and be able to provide them this service. So that way, when it works for them, they can talk about it to all these other people that they are partnered up with. So that's my little insider secret of how, again, I'm not a great salesman, but thinking a little bit how these deals are going to go, you can just use the power of social media, of them having a website to figure out who they're partnered with and try to get in with everybody in there. If you're looking for ways to network and spread the word of what you're capable of doing, look for those large events put on by nonprofits or churches. Usually that means that they have to get several organizations together to all work together, which means that there are good relationships there. So once you get introduced to one, it kind of spreads and you'll get introduced to several others. So I'm not saying maybe you want to do all these jobs for free. This one definitely charging so they know your price point. But just with that in mind of like, hey, I'd love to help you. And if I help you and you like, this fundraiser and the way everything turned out, if you could tell people who are attached to this event because I really like that event, or I saw this event and saw how awesome it was, I'd really love to help other organizations that are in this collaboration all be able to use this fundraiser and reach their communities and make more money for the organizations. So just a slight mindset change. It's not necessarily like this is exactly how to structure the deal, because that's usually a little bit more free flowing, as we like to custom meet their needs and wherever their pain points are, try to support them in those pain points. But that is something that you can be thinking about kind of the longer term of what this one deal means. It can mean a foot in the door with 12 other schools like it was for me, or 12 other organizations as it has been for some of the events that I've helped with. So just that mindset, seeing down the road a little bit more, not so worried about, this is the one deal that I have to get paid for, but like this is the one deal that I want to work this way so that in future it can help me.
As you're doing and trying to grow the network, finding those people that are the network people of those events. There's always like one person that stands out that like puts everything together. They know everybody's mother. They're just like, they're very friendly to be around. They're very easy to work with. Like those are the people that you should be gravitating towards. So even if you're doing one of these larger events and sometimes communication kind of breaks down a little bit, knowing the person that you can consistently go to and show face to and make sure like, hey, this person, at least I'm following through what I'm trying to do. This person I need to get this file size from. Maybe I can ask this person that is this networking person. Those are really good people to know. So more than like the big events, even if you go and help out just a small local nonprofit, knowing that person that is that, there's got to be a better word for that person. That's a networking person.
Special events coordinator, community outreach. There's a lot of them depending on the type of organization that you're
I guess more than the title, like the person that's actually the friendly go-getting person.
Oh, I see.
Very like connected, looking for that well-connected person that's a little more bubbly. Those are the people that you should be looking for to work with, because it makes your job so much easier, because doing print on demand has a lot of nuanced fashions about it, especially if you're doing all the work yourself, doing the artwork, making sure everything is sized up properly, working with the print on demand companies having somebody that can at least go out there and kind of spread the word of you and what you're capable of doing. I think that's kind of what happened with you talking to your old coach. They saw how good you are. It was easy for them to spread the word and then get to that person that runs all of the teams. And then it was like an easy sell to them. If you were trying to go cold and sell to that guy, it'd been very difficult because you had an in, and that person talked you up so well. It was like an easy deal. It was just, can you do this? Yes. Okay, here's the price. And then he didn't even blink an eye. He just was like, okay, this is getting done. This is getting done. This is getting done. Perfect. And then he was like, anytime I have this problem, you're my go-to fix for this problem.
Yeah, almost like a brand ambassador, someone who's willing to just speak about how well you've been able to work with them or spread the word of what you're doing is definitely extremely helpful. But that's starting to touch on the third thing that I think you can get out of these deals if you focus on this one thing, and that's just getting paid. So that is definitely something that you can want out of a deal. The one tip that I have for this is finding the right organization, not trying to squeeze every penny out of working for smaller organizations, as they only have so much budget for probably these type of fundraiser ideas. So one thing you can do to find a nice big organization is looking on their website. A lot of them, if not all of them nowadays, have their staff online, and it will show all the different people, but also the different people's jobs. So as I've been doing this business kind of on the side and by myself a lot of the time, the first couple of people that I partnered with, it was like, I have to make the social media posts, and I have to help them craft their email letter, and I have to, on top of doing all these stuff that I have to do as far as like getting their design up there, making sure all that works, just providing these other services that I was happy to do because I had the skills to do them. But as now I'm learning how to partner better and create better deals, definitely looking at their website and looking at the staff that they have. If they have a community outreach person and a social media expert and someone who's focused on just special events and fundraising, having a bigger team to help you out with this idea, with this fundraiser, definitely helps, and it usually means that they have more of a budget to work with. So if you're looking to get paid, look at the organization's size and see how you can help them, and just understand that the more teammates that they have, or more employees rather that they have, the more teammates you will have to help you either push this idea farther or come up with even cool ways to involve the community in this project. It's not just like, hey, we made this thing and pushing it to them, but somehow involving them in the process, which is a win-win for everybody in that situation, because now their community gets to directly influence what they're putting out into the world and how they're doing this fundraiser, which is something we've seen really strengthen the communities that some of these organizations have.
This is still a business model. Like, we're still looking to get paid. So identifying those clienteles that have possibly bigger budgets so that you can go in and say, okay, I want to be able to get paid this much. I know my worth now. I've networked. I kind of know how to still structure these deals. These are the types of clients that I should be really focusing in on, is a good way of going about it. Like what Nathaniel said, look at their website, see the team that they have. You can kind of gauge the budget that they have. Knowing the nonprofit and kind of, if it's in your local area, you should be able to tell like how big of a nonprofit it is. If it's just a mom and pop stop place, the budget's probably going to be low. It's going to be maybe a little difficult to set a higher price for those people because you're just going to price yourself out of their budget. But a bigger company that's like, I have all these networks going on, I have these events happening, I need this amount of shirts every so many months or every quarter, like you're going to be able to work with them consistently and get paid consistently.
As we've explained those three, either you can get experience, a network, or getting paid. It's important to remember that you can get all three of those things out of each of these deals, but it's easiest, especially when you're first starting out or you're just young and have trouble thinking about all the possible deal structuring elements, if you just focus on one of those things. So like I said, starting out, I was just focused on getting the experience. Then I kind of moved into networking where I was like, man, I'm getting pretty good at this. Like I can kind of foresee some of the problems that are going to come. I start to know that like going to that point person and knowing exactly what to ask them. Once I've kind of figured that out, now I want to start networking so I can grow this thing and I can do this with more people. And then realizing, okay, I'm networking a lot, but I'm also stretching myself kind of thin on some of these jobs where I'm like, yes, I can provide this piece, but then they also need help with their social media and even sometimes running those accounts and starting those accounts. And like, it's just going way too much of my time into this thing because I do want to help them, but it's using too much of my time and distracting me from the other things that I have to do on a daily basis. And so then I kind of transition to like, okay, I need to focus on what organizations can create a win-win situation, but allow me to have some of my time back. And that was the bigger organizations that have these team members that could help me out with these certain things. So if they have someone specifically hired for social media, I know that it shouldn't fall on my shoulders to do everything. Maybe creating a graphic here or there, but not doing everything as far as like thinking about the sales copy and the time that this should be posted and how many times we should post it. Like they should be able to handle those types of things. So those are kind of again, those three things that you can focus on, and it definitely helps the deal from the very beginning if you can focus in on one of those, but kind of also see the progression of how those three things work together. A tip that I wish I knew when I first started out, instead of just going out there and like, I'll do anything, I'm just going to say yes because I want to learn, like now having this understanding, this bigger picture to look at and be like, oh, okay, like this is kind of the path that I went. I think it was pretty healthy. I could have cut out like some deals here and some deals there that weren't so healthy. But now I can look back and hopefully help you guys understand this as well. And if that's not as clear as you would have liked it, or if you weren't able to follow me through all that, again, I want to say that I want to be your wingman through this whole thing. So, if you're going out and you're having problems structuring the deal or thinking about how this can help this one organization that you do actually have a foot in the door with, like feel free to email me and we can try to work those things out together.